Ladies and gentlemen, it's time. Game 5 is upon us again. This MSI is delivered game after game, series after series. In the upper bracket, we now find out who goes the distance, who goes to the upper final and gets himself a leap away from our grand final for MSI 2024. I'm Asterix Chronicler Dagda. We are ready to take you in as draft has begun, and we're going to find out who's taking this puppy after what has been a recovery from top esports of the ages. History's going to be made, gentlemen. It's just about which team's going to do it.
I don't know what way this is going to land. Cream may get his Corki, but the Tristanic gone, and the Draven banned away here by Gen G. The focus onto Jackie Love no longer may need to be in-game if it's done before we hit the Rift.
Might be Corki's first pick.
Yeah.
With how the series has developed, Jovi says, gimme the Yordle. One of the other big things that we talked about a lot is the underperformance of Canyon, particularly in the losses. The Jarvan game was already rough, the Vi game. His overforce towards the bot side of the map started the train for top esports. This time around, we'll see if they go towards that again.
And TN's only been getting better, even on the Sejuani. As we look at the priority for TES, they've often looked at Lucian Nami over the Kalista Renata lanes, and once again in Game 5, they show us that they're not straying too far.
And now it becomes, what is the response from Gen G? Needs to pick up an AD carry, at least minimum here. You already saw it before, is the Aphelios and the Lulu, maybe a Zeri Lulu, but the Kalista is available. They will immediately go for that. Is the Nautilus going to be paired alongside it? It will be the Ashe.
Kill lane.
Oh, we have some great Ashe players, but Lahans obviously can pilot it, but not the guy you think of first.
Yep.
Meaning that the engage is going to have to come from the top half of the map. Tian, his ultimates rang true last game, able to consistently hit. We'll see if Sejuani can do the same thing again.
Is it Tien or is it Cream? Who's going to be put on the back burner here? With the Corki already locked in on the opposite side, now you get to hyper-focus down Cream, a man whose champion pool was already called into question. With Corki gone, with the Tristanic gone, now the potential for an Ahri, for the Azir to be taken away as well. What does Cream bring to the table?
Throughout the entirety of this series, even the wins, Jackie Love and Mako have outperformed FaZe and Lahans. In this lane, you need to perform. You cannot lose an early game with this. Canyon's pick going to be pivotal as well. I like the bans towards him. Wouldn't be surprised, even though he had a rough performance, if they ban the Vi here as well. Because if he can make an impact on this early bot lane and FaZe and Lahans can actually pop off, that'd be huge. As Gen G, you mentioned it earlier, Asterix.
That's why I'm laughing, because I know that in Game 5 scenarios, like, Cream is not rookie, right? But, man, this guy is an international rookie who's debuted on the stage here at this MSI and has these pocket picks like the Silas. I wonder, gentlemen, do we start talking about things like a Kali that might come through or get banned away as they try and shrink Cream's champion pool as much as possible?
I think the next ban will be the Azir. You just try and continue to focus down and make Cream and make sure that he's not able to have that comfort. Because let's be real, the last two games, Cream has had a resurgence in that mid lane. Game 1 and 2 belonged to Chovy. Game 3 and 4 far closer, and it gave top esports that stronger mid lane that our top side they could actually play off. Yone, his third most play in his career, also taken away.
I mentioned it earlier. The Yone, particularly with the Sejuani, insanely strong into AA to carry. Gets to go through the early laning phase for free against the Corki. Gen G. Sante feels like the obvious angle. And in game number 1, it didn't work, but Cream is going to try again.
He did all right against the Corki of Chovy. He did okay, but the problem was Church was in session at the time, so he couldn't leave his seat. We're going to find out if this time he's able to get in the interim.
This would be such a good Xin Zhao angle for Canyon. The fact that you have a pushing bot lane and you have that pushing mid now with the Akali locked in gives you a ton of opportunities to set up for these invades. Try and find the moments to disrupt Tien, because it's been the other story of top esports. Tien having a much stronger performance in game 3 and 4. If you can target him, force the lanes to operate themselves, maybe that's the window that Gen G need to slow down the pace of this game.
It's Canyon's pick. Wry grin on his face.
Is that good or bad?
Going to be, I actually love the Xin Zhao as well. As you already mentioned, great at creating space.
What? But
Okay, hear me out. So one of the most unplayable matchups in the game when it comes to the 1v1 is playing Sejuani into Italy.
Okay.
The man has a world skin on this, but there is almost no setup. You want to pair the Italy with
things
something
like Renekton, right?
like the Renekton, with something, anything point and click. But instead, and it's reminiscent of the Kazakhs picks in Game 4 of the LCK Finals, when the chips are down, Canyon says, I need a carry. And this game is going to stand and fall to by which extent he can leverage this Nidalee. Because if you get into the mid game with a double AD carry bot lane in a Nidalee, and you're not on the lead, you're not going to win.
Is this where top esports go back to lane swaps? You've denied the Nidalee the opportunity to set up for these invades in the 1v1 against Sejuani. You deny the early aggression from this double Halo Blades bot lane from Gen G. But Gen G, they outplayed you, they outsmarted you, they did everything correct in that lane swap in Game 1 to find the advantages. And now in Game 5, these questions have to be plaguing top esports as they look to push themselves over the finish line.
With your first Nidalee, the first one overall at MSI for 2024, Canyon decides to flex in the final game, the one that not only makes your run easier to that upper bracket final, but the one that would make history as, since their name change, winning a BO5 against the LPL, but the first ever reverse sweep in MSI main stage in the history of the tournament is what TES are fighting for. They came from the dregs in that Game 3. They fought against all odds. We only made it here because Tien started playing up, because Cream started finding his seat right at the front row and center. And our good old faithful and the bottom lane kept performing. 369, team fighting cannot be underestimated. But don't forget, Gen G are the ones who brought us here in the first place. Gen G are the smart team, the macro team, the 5v5 team. As they go for the invade, Chengdu riles them up, and we begin.
Gen G know they want standard. They want to try and force these winning lanes onto this winning jungle matchup for Gen G. The only one that's really a bit of an issue for them is keen on the Cassante into 369, but already spotting out Tien. You can see 369 moving up into the brush on top side, already trying to hide himself and make sure that he's going to be in an okay spot, but Tien forced out of his jungle. Even if Gen G just start on Tien's side of the map, this is going to work out well for them.
We'll see where the lane ends up going, and it's again important to remind everyone, Gen G, out of any LCK team in the last couple of years, no team has been as dominant domestically, and no team has struggled as much internationally. Right now, this is their opportunity, and yes, they're still a lower bracket. Yes, they might still make a deep run, but losing here would be so pivotal to yet again show that when the chips are down and it's Gen G at international competition, you just can't trust them.
I mean, it's a somewhat similar story for top esports. They won back in 2020, but never actually made it towards an MSI because the mid-season championship was what replaced that MSI in 2020, which they did end up winning, but it's always a big asterisk saying, look, it didn't count, it doesn't matter as much. And then we get to Worlds 2022 where top esports, it doesn't work out in their favor either. And now, going up against Gen G, they want to prove that they can launch themselves onto the international stage again.
And unfortunately for Gen G, they weren't able to get the standard lanes. Lane swap comes through. As you already pointed out, Dagda, as should be the case. Chovy already taking some rough early trades, and unlike game number 1, there is no Keen in his lane to help him out early.
And let's talk about the elephant in the room as 369 moves to top side, is that we talked about Canyon set up in the lanes. We have to track the Nidalee jungle. For now, we need to track what 369 is doing with the wave.
Going to be able to hold this off. Keen in so much trouble here.
Game 5, this will be huge. He doesn't get the knockback. Instead of the turret, it's botched. Mako takes too much, and Jackie Love too. Keen holds on in 1v3, and guess who's on the way?
He's level 2.
He now levels up. The double shot's going to come through. They tank it up. The flash away. 369 gets up, and top esports are on the board for first blood.
The Nidalee spear goes wide as well, so top esports able to escape away from that. Keen will come back to collect the majority of this wave. As 369 going to more than likely have to do a similar story to teleport onto this bottom side of the map. Tien spotted. Does 369 go to the bot lane? Does he try and collect the wave?
And of all the people to get the first kill on, Gotta feel the best about it being Jackie Love. Yes, the flashes are invested, but unless Gen G can somehow make that into something more, that alone is not going to be enough. The one upside for Gen G is that bot lane is continuing undisturbed, and if they pick up 2 plates, gold relatively equalized.
Top Esports going to match, though. They're bringing down their bot lane. Green interrupts the reset from Chovy. Chovy hasn't copped.
He's shopping, he's window shopping.
But look at bot lane. 4 members of Top Esports starting to roam down. They weren't ready for the reset. Gen G overextended.
Oh my god, they're still here. I mean, they get a second plate, but can they get out with their lives? Lahans and Pays running through the long lane, but Tien takes the casual route. He's got flash available, but Lahans is also going to ghost out.
They have no vision whatsoever, so they don't want to run the risk of running into, say, Canyon. Waiting in the wings, not going to be, waiting in the wings, not going to be the case. Tien, or 369 rather, able to make his way to top lane.
And he's the one that is struggling now as a result of everything. Jackie Love gets a kill, gets a little bit of a gold lead for himself, but level 1 of 369 as he moves back to top lane versus the level 4 will tick over to help him out just a smidge, but still Keen going to be in a decent spot here.
The level 3 of Jackie Love and Mako now hit as well. So while we talk about 369 losing out a little bit in the full-on gank, at least Jackie Love and Mako are still in an okay spot.
Yeah, 369 is going to get sacrificed, but again, Jackie was the one who got the kill. Already sitting on Kerchai's Sharp, meaning that Pace desperately wants to back, but bot lane of Top Esports not letting him right now.
And until he backs, Gen G really can't enact their plans. They need Chovy to get the reset. He pays to get the reset so they can try and play hyper-aggressive in this bot side and start to look for these invades with Canyon. It's been fairly even-steven thus far in the jungle matchup, but if they can start to control the bot lane like this...
Stealing forward. I mean, I think they can take a 2v2. Pays runs in, dodges away from the Aqua Prison, and Jackie Love takes a trade with the flurry from Lahans. They also know that Tien's bot side, because the scout came out from Lahans, they still ran into that anyway.
And the thing is, this is where trying to force these dual lanes to match up again, you do end up taking a hit as Top Esports. Pays and Lahans got to crash the wave. Some of those creeps dies to the tower, which is why you're seeing that level advantage for for Pays and Lahans, and they're able to continue to play through that. Now Canyon getting to small invades onto the top side, just pushing Tien back. Incremental leads starting to open for Gen G.
It was one of the things that Canyon played for, particularly when he was having the best years of his career, 2020, the obvious one, but even in 2021.
He's run the skin from that time as well.
Oh,
I don't know if you noticed.
Oh, yeah, that is the 2020 World Championship skin.
Oh, hell yeah.
Using the prile that his lanes provide him to invade continuously. On the flip side, though, the clock is again going to be, I think, on Gen G just because of this Nidalee. Chovy provides decent scaling, but with these double 80 carries, you're always going to be a little bit scared when you get to the mid to late game against the burst, the Tsunami, and the Kali as well.
Canyon push tempo, the biggest question here. Well, at least he's doing grubs on the top side. For now, Tien hasn't made a trade as he's also on the back burner of these camps. You can see a small lead building for Canyon, so at least the early game is rather successful for where you want to be. As the grubs go down, note that Tien is moving down bot side and looking to make that trade on the neutrals.
Looking for the Dragon on the other side. Level 6 just hit for Cream, so relatively happy to look for some sort of early skirmish if they can get Cream involved. The only downside, of course, is that Mako and Jackie Love are in the best of shapes here, as Pays and Lahans have been able to do a good job just getting that poke. Tien here now, though, sneaking in behind the Ghost.
Oh, there you go. Hawk shot again. We saw Mako continuously use it in the last game. And Tien, understandably feeling like he has to at least try and make a play happen somewhere, because Canyon taking camps in much higher speed hasn't been able to found Tien just yet, though, and doesn't look like that is going to be the case. Scream. Enjoying the fact that this time there was no Vayne in his lane.
Yeah, he actually gets to play the lane a bit more, and look who's here. Tien's here to influence it, but Chovy with Flash and Valkyrie available.
Oh, well, Jet.
Makes it a little bit more difficult. Chovy's still going to clear the wave, so Cream just now sit here while Tien trades.
But that's the thing, Cream gets the shove in the mid-wave so he can actually help and get in the camp back, but the Ghost popped.
Mako might be the new target, but slowed on down. There's no Enchanted Chrysara to slow him further.
Pays
doesn't get it, you're right, because it's a big part of the damage.
Yeah, with Lethality, Kalista in particular, really need to hit that. Canyon says hello. I don't know if his presence alone is going to be enough. He hasn't based yet, sitting on a whole lot of gold right now.
Does land a spear, which influences his push into
Doesn't have his
jungle.
mid laner.
You're right, with no pressure there. Cream's moving in with perfect execution, flashing away Canyon. A big mistake in game 5. There's the execution, and Canyon's about to drop down to Cream. What is he doing without Chovy nearby?
Yeah, you have bot lane prio, but you don't have a mid laner. And Canyon, game Game 5 says pick me in Italy and gives up a kill to the enemy Akali.
Especially Cream's Akali. This is the pick that he made his name on in the LPL. This is the pick that he showcases mastery of Assassins on. And with an early kill, he can look to blow open this game, play heavily through the mid, open up sides. But Tien hovering still around boss.
The one upside for Gen G is that when it comes to the plates, when it comes to the CS, they have been able to build a lead. But Tien is looking again. Summoner's available.
Came up and available. The arrow flies and misses. Jackie Love gets poked out though, but it doesn't change the play. Tien running in as Fate's Call. Still there. Arctic Assault blocks it as Lahen's now ranges. There's the ulti. Jackie Love jumps in and Mako lands the bubble. Lahens is up next and Gen G are falling apart. Top esports with 3 early kills and Jackie Love's got 2 of them.
They needed to stop Tien, but Tien refuses to do so. Cream in the mid lane. The spear goes wide. He's going to be able to walk this one away. Canyon can't even find the response. 369 is going to spot him on the Raptors.
How do you like your meat? This Cougar about to find out. Flash in. Fear beyond death. 369's having none of it. He sits around. Canyon tries to leap away, but here comes Cream once again. Tien's backed away, and Gen G are getting red like a book.
Excuse me, sir, but this is not your jungle. This is not your series. Top esports have found everything against Gen G, and Gen G are trying desperately to find a way in. Tooth, claw, nail, but they're not getting anything.
At least some damage comes through. Choviel's worried there, even with his flash available, with Cream having his ulti up again. But man, this is blowing out of control. This early game, Canyon is trying to influence so much.
Canyon, you don't have vision of the enemy bot lane, and crucially, Tien interrupts the initial dash. But even if he doesn't hit that, like Cream is on the roam. Chovi's pushed in, playing Corki. Canyon wanting to do so much and getting punished. The gold is still even, but I again want to reiterate, it feels to me like so much as Lahens.
Here's Flash.
Oh my god. What's happening topside? Our observers like there's action everywhere. The flip comes through, but it's interrupted. Kasate thinks as Canyon, at least in here, Gen G getting something. Topside now erupts here with Keen's ulti and Canyon's intervention.
It's crucial. We'll see if there is a counterplay being made. It looks like the Dragon is going to be the answer. But again, like looking at the goal, yes, Gen G has a lead, but I will again reiterate, I feel like when you get to the team fights, when you get to the mid to late game, the poke of this Nidalee, I don't think is going to be enough. Nidalee in team fights, notoriously hard to pilot, notoriously hard to get value out of, particularly when you don't have the best. And it's going to basically be, can Lands hit an arrow on anyone that isn't Tien? Jovi does have his package.
Speaking of which, the ulti is there for Tien. He's waiting. The package is going to be used in the end as well, and that helps with wave clear after the Dragon's done. Now, the counterpoint is that Gen G at least have 6 scrubs. That goes over to Chovy on this Corki. If you're believing, you need to start believing harder because Chovy's got a big job to do this game.
Really, it's going to come down to him. And maybe even Keen, also sitting on a pretty sizable lead here, courtesy of the early movements of 369, courtesy of the gank from Canyon.
Yeah.
He is going to have to do a lot of heavy lifting because with Jackie Love accelerated, I think it's going to take a long time for Keen to become this absolute raid boss that we know Xante can be.
This is the problem though, with Cream picking up that early kill, he's been accelerated very well, so in that 1v1 on a side lane, it goes towards Cream. In the opportunity though that you can make a play on top, maybe it's straight that turn around.
That control ward's everything, isn't it? They get the stun onto Lahens, he gets Fate's called back, so that saves his life for now. The Glacial Prison already used, and Tien has no flash available. He's waiting for the Arctic Assault, Fate's in Lahens, try and turn it around. There's the arrow, and a 2v3, they feel it, and at least it stops the play there, with Jackie Love unable to go forward.
There's no response from Gen G on the top side either. Canyon decides to reset instead, so good play from TES and Lahens, pushing back Jackie Love, getting his health low alongside Tien's, so that play fizzles for top esports.
Does it though? Dagda's looking at it thinking, wait, Spectral Maw or the Spooky Ghost, I believe, sees the edge of at least Mako, but regardless of Ward does that for them, they're all backing the brush. Under a control Ward, think about it again. They're back in action. Wait, Tien, it's a double buff, it's a triple buff. There's a tidal wave as well, but the Canyon's coming in, TP as well. Top esports have the overcook. No, they've got the kill onto Jackie Love, but Keen has to do the unthinkable. Canyon with a spear hits Tien. Jackie Love next up in the menu as well. He turns, he dies, and Tien now going to do the same as Cream. Teleports in. It's a double over to Canyon, and for Gen G, they make their numbers work.
And they even TP Chovy to the top side to match the push from 369, so they don't get anything. Gen G, they turn around the play against top esports.
In the last game, game, it was Genji over-forcing on bot. This time around, it's top.
Yeah.
They use a lot of resources trying to make the play towards the bot side. And yes, they get Pays, who with his flash up ends up dying, but because of the position of Canyon and the TP from Keen, they're still fine.
Cream's doing no damage to Keen in the meanwhile as well. Shuriken Flip is there. It comes through eventually. You're right, maybe the longer the play goes out. As 6 grubs, ladies and gentlemen, the DOT ends up getting first turret. So Genji, a big moment in game 5.
Yeah, I mean, the wave here to try and set up for the culling is great. So they do get onto Pays, but the immediate responses come through from Genji. TP from Keen, he is huge in comparison, and JackeyLove just has nowhere else to go. And because Keen is kind of zoned Cream away from this fight, there are low health bars for Lehens. Potentially you can one-shot Canyon, but you just cannot commit to that with Keen in the way.
Now my quick question is, with Genji with an early gold lead, we talked about the setup lacking for Canyon. The question is whether this Lich Bane Nidalee with an early lead is enough to negate that and run over the top in the early game anyway.
Gonna have to see. They're gonna have to keep stacking these objectives. The first rate going over the top esports in of itself already a big win. It's also important to note that outside of TN, top esports engaged, not necessarily the best. So I think early player that is a
arrow
lot.
hits him, cleanse comes through from JackeyLove, and the poke follows through as well. Herald continues up.
Look at Cream though, good flank opportunity to go in, but I think top esports have already kind of been burned a little bit with JackeyLove having to get rid of that cleanse. So Genji with first position on that Rift Tower will be able to take it. How hard they do want to try and push in to get these towers off of us.
We talked so much about Chovy, so much about the bot lane. But the biggest difference maker in the games where Genji looks good, I think, is Keen online.
Yeah.
Is he in a position where he can make an impact? And in the previous games, that wasn't really the case. Not necessarily some of his plays, some of the team's plays. But right now, sitting on almost a 1k gold lead here on this Cassante, and no one on top esports that I think once he finishes his second item, which I imagine will be a Rookern, it's going to be a lot harder, as this Drake, I think, a must-take for Genji.
And 369 gave up his opportunity to good laning phase to give this lead to JackeyLove.
Yeah.
And look for the dive to try and put Keen behind, but with that overextension, top esports have brought that bot lane back within touching distance, and now we're going to start to see that squeeze from Genji as they don't want to let this up.
And I mean, feels like tempo heaven, right? JackeyLove's back gets denied. I'm not sure how much standing gold he has, because the Herald charges mid. In 20 seconds, this Dragon that, Chronicle, you said is a must-take for Genji, feels not only to be secured here, mid goes down as well. Gold is starting to pile up in this game 5. That top esports is running away from them.
And now the poke. This is the best case scenario. No vision available. Chovy doesn't have his TP. I imagine he's roaming over, and look at this. You see how little control there is. The package should be available soon. And Genji, this is a must-win fight.
And Cream is on top side, doesn't have his teleport available, so he's going to have to walk down. Did just finish the Hextech Proto Belt,
they gotta let it go.
I mean, when Chovy has that package, it's so difficult to fight against them. Genji playing out this map impeccably.
All comes down to Canyon, even despite his earlier mishaps, picking up so much gold. You see that one single spear on Mako, enough to dissuade top esports from trying to contest. Gold lead now back in favor of Chovy, because the pressure that is generated by Keen, by his bot lane, and by Canyon, he just gets to farm his waves. Just gets to farm up the way he loves to do. And Genji, at least for now, back in control in this game number 5.
You do have to be very careful as Genji when trying to push up on this mid wave though. No cleanse available for Pays or even Lehens either. So if TN has access to that mid wave, immediately you can win the 3v3 skirmish just off of taking Canyon out, taking Lehens out, maybe taking Pays out. So this is where you can see Genji investing a lot of members into getting vision on this topside river, finding a place of solace where Genji can contest this mid wave.
Oh, arrow.
Does hit on TN, that's a favorable target. Mako with a spear doesn't have enough sustain to get through that. It's a slow ebb and flow here as top esports slowly get forced out from this top side, enabling Chovy maybe to get the push up in top as well and take down their last outer turret.
And that poke is going to continue to stick. This is why you need to try and group as top esports, but Genji are doing a really good job of contesting them before top esports really group. Now TN in mid though, this is what we're talking about, an opportunity to look for a play.
Oh, onto Lehens, good damage. Culling comes out as well. Pays saves his support, but himself maybe not so much. The Culling almost finishes him off, doesn't take a summoner, but there is an ult trade.
So going to be happy about that. Farming some first try gold.
Hell yeah.
For Jackie, he's finished the rapid fire cannon and the Shiv, so incredible amount of burst damage here. for the Lucian. For top esports, kind of the same, particularly against poke comps. You want to take down as soon as possible this mid lane turret, because otherwise if you have the safety to retreat, you poking becomes so much easier.
They're moving keen here though to make sure they can cover. Gen G well aware of how important that mid lane tower is going to be.
Chovy ult,
side now.
flashed away from, you get the flash from the Corki, and that's an ult trade. You'd still call that worth.
Big time, but this is the problem with trying to contest on multiple different fronts. When you have control for top esports in mid lane, you open up TN to roam, you open up Mako to roam, to look for plays on sides. This is what we're saying top esports really like to do when they have this Lucian, but they need to now take a step back. Tien no ult, JackeyLove no ult. This is where Gen G are now the ones that can go on the prowl, and they are looking for that top tower.
I haven't talked as much about Kane's build yet, but he's gone Conquer. Also looks like he might be building towards either Leandris or Riftmaker's.
You said Tien needs to back off. I mean, even without ulti, Arctic Assault's in. Lehens gets the arrow down. Top esports overcooking here. The flash already comes out as Cream is now stuck in the middle. His shuriken flip ends with the summoner as well. TS, the health bars are too damn low. They need to leave, and Gen G know it.
Again, it's top esports overextending. Gen G knew Tien had no ult, JackeyLove had no ult. We have the advantage so we can push, and they're going to keep going with it.
Gen G fighting top esports, fighting their own past. This team has let down the LCK so many times. Chovy TPing in, Maw's there, but the Hex Gates are being taken.
Well, Mako and Tien think, hey, we can do something with this. Tien's ulti almost up and available, but ain't quite there, stopping Gen G from getting the inner turret in the top side. But they still got what they came for. They still got outer, and a 4K gold lead now cements this first 20 minutes.
And again, it's getting control over the lane states, getting that vision on the top side, but Tien doesn't have the ult available, so tries to use his face instead, and Lehen says, thanks, here's an arrow directly between the eyes. And when Tien is taken out of the equation, Cream doesn't have the front line he needs to go in. JackeyLove doesn't have that front line, which is why 369 is called, but they're already too late to the party.
See, as well, as soon as it is clear that they're not going to be able to get anything but Zerg, Pace immediately rotates towards mid to get the shove in, and that's why we now see Gen G with a 3.3k gold lead. Slowly building up. I love this from Jackie. We talked about it a lot. But into a Cassante, gotta invest into that armor penetration early on. Because otherwise, if this Cassante can just be a brick wall, which I want to add, not only is there JackeyLove building a Lost Whisper, there's also 369 with the Cleaver. Urgot is insanely strong at stacking that very, very quickly. And Carve is one of the best sources of negating armor in the game.
The Edge of Night also picked up for Paze is really important to hold on to this mid wave. The fact that you won't be at the leisurely toss of a Tien ult or the potential for a Mako wave, it gives you that moment to react, is going to be so impactful when it comes to contesting everything that top esports are trying to do on the map. As long as you keep Cassante up against Cream as well, Keen is just going to be a brick wall that this Kali cannot get through.
Ill used.
It's because 5 seconds till Dragon, isn't it? Spear doesn't connect either. JackeyLove's out of the way. He's got both summoners available. They're running in. Tien as well with the ulti available, trying to play the front to back with Gen G. Running amok themselves. Fate Call going to be used by Paze. That's an ulti pre-team fight.
It's patience from top esports. You called it there, Asterix. They're just playing for Dragon. They're just making sure that they can pull whatever they can out of Gen G. But now top esports, a little bit sped up as Lehens deals that damage.
And remember as well, there's no package available. Chovy got in the last fight. We're going to have to wait and see if my timing's wrong, but still, Dragon for TES looking good to start.
Yeah, Chovy doesn't have TP. That's the big thing. Does pick it up here, but top esports no have a window. Cream on the flank will get spotted. Chovy with the Hex Gates can get her sooner. Gen G, they need this Dragon.
All it takes is one pick to open us up. JackeyLove runs on in. Chovy's now spotted, as you mentioned. Cream with a level disadvantage, but it's Dragon here to keep the pace of the game going. For Gen G to shut up the audience. The arrow connects, but it's cleansed away. Tien sends out an own ulti. Lehens has to flash away. The tidal wave is great for Chovy. Lines the dirt, but no one's there. JackeyLove runs into him and almost ints himself. Dragon goes over to TES as Cream just does the unthinkable in the backline. Krispy Kreme, you're not the sweetest piece.
Get out!
As Canyon get hit with Spear again, and 369 is caught on out. Gen G are pulling them apart, and TES, I don't know how this started, but I feel like I know how it's going to end. 369 says no, though. Aqua Prison out. They front to back. He can't get the reset, though. It's messy. It's disgusting. But Gen G are thriving in it, and Mako drops to show that TES didn't know what they were doing there.
And the Dragon gets taken by TES, but Gen G says thank you very much. Balloon the gold lead. And the sustained damage from this Corki PES staying alive despite everything, and Canyon on his Nidalee.
And at the start, Jackie Love immediately cleanses. Cream gets access to the backline as Lehens is taken low. But watch for Chovy immediately onto the backline. Annihilates Jackie Love's health bar. And yes, Cream gets the response to Lehens. But it's the support.
It's Lehens!
It doesn't matter. And Jackie Love is so incredibly low. And from this point, Top Esports, they could have said no. They could have said 369, we have to give you up. We will sacrifice yourself to get away, but they think they can make the play. But in a top lane versus top lane, Keen has come out every single time for Gen G, and once more, he bowls down Top Esports, and Gen G come out ahead.
It's the space that Keen creates that allows PES to flash. Bubble doesn't hit, 369 goes in alone, and the team isn't there to back him up.
It's a punish above all punishes. Chovy again, as you said, casual numbers. In game 1, game 2, hitting that mark, and once again, Chovy on this Corki is providing so much good context for Gen G. TS made a crucial mistake.
Oh, they're pulling them across the map. Want to get this in there.
One that could have hurted their game state. Cream still getting poked out, half HP now, trying to defend the inner tower, but Keen running into him. He doesn't back off in time. The arrow almost connects. He's going to get out this time around, but TES now defending after the inner goes down and the gold balloons 7k.
And again, you need some sort of flank opportunity for Cream. You can see what happens if they try to play this front to back, but with the way that Gen G are controlling the map right now, that feels impossible. There are no wards, there is no vision as to what is happening for Top Esports.
And the LCK Gen G, one of the most consistent teams that's getting a lead and never, ever giving it up.
Yeah.
And Top Esports is pushing. We saw the early leads that they were able to generate in the last 2 games were pivotal at keeping Gen G down. But now, Canyon is so fed that his poke is going to remain relevant for much longer than if he wasn't able to have an impact. And additionally, by the time he starts to drop off, Chovy is level 50. He's 2 levels up.
Oh, yeah.
Almost 60 CS.
And now they've found another play. Mako's isolated by himself. PES runs up for the freebie, and the tidal wave does nothing. Another kill in the bank, another moment to open up Top Esports from getting the unbelievable reverse sweep.
And Gen G, they got to the position that Top Esports was in last year at Worlds. They were down 0-2, brought it back to 2-2, and now it's up to them to see if they can not relinquish any control of this game and bring themselves to the upper bracket.
Doubt and fear came through the religion, but in the end, it looks like for Gen G, the belief is holding strong. 8k gold lead now with the inner turret dropping down.
Top Esports trying to reclaim anything in their topside jungle. Canyon has moved down. PES is on the reset. Gen G need to be very careful. This is essentially a bluff that Top Esports might call at any point in time, but with no information, with no vision, Top Esports don't feel comfortable, and you can see the antsy feet they're getting as Gen G slowly but surely close the door on them.
Gonna have to be an individual pick. It's gonna have to find someone, put him in the meat grinder, or Cream getting on top of PES. But Keen has been an immovable object. Jackie Love does have his LDR done. Maybe that's going to be the saving grace for Top Esports. But now the problem is, once you lose control against the poke composition, the game becomes nigh unplayable. You have an Umbro Glaive Ash with Hawkshot. We saw how much pressure Mako was able to find in the last game with that as well. You're playing into Corki and a monstrously fed Nidalee with 10 stacks on the Dark Seal.
And the solo lanes just can't compete anymore for Top Esports, which means that these side lanes belong to Gen G. This jungle going to belong to Gen G as well if they want. Keen though.
I mean, Keen stepping up, and we said the LDR might do something, but right now, I'm not seeing a damn lick of damage.
I take it back. I'm sorry, guys.
It's all right.
I thought it'd be enough.
He didn't have enough damage. I mean, Keen is just walking in there so nonchalant, and Gen G, as you said, can do whatever they want.
Dragon in 6 seconds. The reset for Chovy to pick up yet another package. A package that he hopes to will deliver Gen G to the promised land and victory in this game 5. Top Esports, the poke is hitting, it is raining down from all sides, and Cream has been spotted out on every opportunity by Gen G.
Big thing here is Top Esports did get the last Dragon, so this is only a second Dragon fight. Top Esports can choose to give this up. I think they should, but knowing them, I don't know if they will.
I mean, I was going to say, knowing TES, they will fight or die. And right now, it feels like the latter as they move up towards Baron to try and make the counterplay with Chovy having package.
Though. Yeah, they're trying to see if they can draw them into an area that is dark, but it's not. Gen G already have so much vision down, and now Top Esports will lurk in the shadows. Gen G, you have that hawk shot. They spot at the top, are not there.
Trying for a bait. Keen and Canyon the one space checking. Canyon needs to get out of there. Keen's fine for the time being as Jackie Love is dealing with Chovy. The arrow flies through. He's got cleanse once again, and he used that to get out of dodge. The culling flies on in, but into Keen. It won't do too much again. The frontline Kasane paying dividends, and Chovy's starting to turn and burn. Cream as he runs away with the shuriken flip, can't find an angle, and TS just need to hot tail and run.
Keen is just playing this front line so well, but Chovy...
One shot though, his ulti comes through as Chovy flushes away. Cream in the backline once again onto Lahan's Fear Beyond Death, denied with fate sealed. Cream buys time. Keen a new target. He gets out with the perfect execution, but 369 is meant to be a tank.
The go again!
The poke runs, it roams, and Gen G feel it. They are talked about as these international chokers, but today it looks like top esports are the jokers.
That said though, doesn't look like they're actually able to get the kills that they were looking for. They force a bunch of summoners though, that's the big thing. Flash gun on Tien, flash gun on 369. The Baron though, not yet taken.
The Dragon was taken by Gen G though. The lanes that Top Esports could have got in their favor are not there. Top Esports got nothing off the play except broken hearts, broken summoner spells, and Gen G are coming back out onto the map once more with a ton of vision around this Baron area. Cream once more trying to push in on these side lanes, but 2 levels down onto Chovy. Will tick over to level 15 as it clears out this wave, but it's a similar story where again, Keen, an immovable object on this Kasane, is stopping and blocking everything the Top Esports wants to do.
I think Kasane in this tournament in the best of times has been unbearable for teams. When it doesn't go through what 369 went through in game 1 of this series, it is unbelievable. And Chronicler, as we approach Gen G around this Baron, just buying time again for the Dragon stacking and this almost 10k gold lead, it's Top Esports who try and find a pivotal moment.
It's one of the things that T1 definitely have Gen G beat as, oh, Chovy.
Is this it? Is this the moment?
Is it going to be Chovy in a side wave? There's no way.
I mean, he's got flash available.
Chovy!
Reaction time. Culling comes through, and Chovy's going to die.
Chovy!
Shut down in front of Baron. That was the unbelievable member.
And now the Baron is there. Kasane in the side lane will have to try and TP to deny this from Top Esports. This is it. Top Esports found their pick, but can they finish the fight?
Now we find out how strong they are. Cream is teleported in, and remember, Gen G don't have numbers, but they have the gold advantage. In the back of Baron, the MR debuff is hitting them hard. Canyon throwing out spear after spear. Keen getting the knock up. It's double flash used. Jackie Love gets caught in the backline, but they turn off a Baron. Top Esports still. Where is the damage? Cream dealing with the backline. He's erupted in a 5 versus 4. Jackie still have it. Jackie Love steps back up. There's the Aqua Prison. Mako trying to bring it on back. An unbelievable fight is what we needed. Top Esports aren't delivering yet. The spear from Canyon hits Jackie Love. Jackie Love jumps back in and gets the hand. Gen G have been departed, but TS is still losing the fight.
Chovy's coming. Chovy's coming.
Jackie Love stands his ground for the timing. The spear doesn't connect. Pays doesn't connect either. The bot lane, the heroes of TS are what the LPL need, but they can't deliver. Mako's up next, and the Gen G faithful are finally getting rewarded.
And it starts off as a Gen G nightmare. Chovy wandering off to a side wave and getting murdered. But the rest of Gen G say no, not today, not again, as they win the 4v5 and take the Baron.
In finals, we saw Keen get several solo kills against his opponent in Zeus. And once more, this Kasane is the pick for him. He stands in front of Jackie Love and Mako. He flips them back. The ult from Lahan's immediately onto Jackie Love prevents him from dealing the damage. And the Kasane buys the space that you need to deal with Cream in the back line. And then Gen G go forward.
That's my LCK Finals MVP! Keen on the Kasane popping off. And then here, the extended trade, all the cooldowns are gone, so it's so hard for Top to actually get on top of this mass. Jackie gets the kill on Lahan's, but that's not enough. And then Chovy with the TP here, but already Pays was flanking. Canyon, surprisingly tanky, so the stopwatch impeccable from him. So much use out of the gold, but Keen, the hero that Gen G needed.
And it feels like there's nothing left in the tank for Top Esports. Cream can't kill Kasane. 369 couldn't kill Kasane. And Jackie Love is tossing everything in the kitchen sink at this Kasane and still cannot bend him. Gen G pushing forward now in towards the bot side. There is nothing the top esports have that can push them away.
The miracle run is falling out of the fingers of TES fans.
Look at the poke.
And those alike, the poke is unbearable as the turret continues to get approached. Gen G, they will not stop, and TES right now are just hoping for a mistake.
Hold me, Dagda! What are they gonna do it?
Dream is there. He has to cleanse away. He gets the bell from Mako. Jackie Love gets poked out. Chovy hits and he hits hard. It's in session once again, and he won't stop pushing.
There's nothing they can do. Top esports, they lost their star player. They're about to twinkle out.
They came back from the brink of despair. It looked hopeful. It looked great in the early game, but to go to the upper finals, Gen G, your fans are finally being rewarded. Do you believe? Because for the first time ever, Gen G beat the LPL in a best of 5 since the name change. First ever religion that has come out of League of Legends. And let me tell you, Gen G fans, I am a believer.
Game number 5 demands us pick me in Italy. He hasn't played the champion all year. Dies in the jungle. And in the end, ends with an 8-2-6 score. And Gen G, they were tested to their limits. And every single time over the last couple of years, when those limits were tested, they were unable to deliver. And I really can't overstate for this team and for Chovy specifically, how big of a victory this is.
Man, for a player that comes to internationals, that always gets hyped up, as you say, and that doesn't always deliver on the same margin. Today was huge, but Gen G today as well with such a risky comp in Game 5. That's what pushes the belief an extra mile for me.
But it's the comfort for Keen.
Yeah.
This Cassante was absolutely incredible. Every team fight getting onto Jackie Love. Every team fight denying the damage that was coming through. Blocking for his team. Just top esports could not find any way past this man.
If I had a nickel for every time Keen carried in Game 5 of a best of 5 with Cassante, I'd have 2. Which, I feel like given the amount of Cassante performances, it feels like it should be more.
Yeah. But it is so well earned. Keen had a monster performance, and throughout the series as well. In Gen G's success, it came down to this man who probably played our best main top, played one of our best Cassante games. Chovy having an insane series at highlight moments as well. Even Canyon in Game 5, what started with a mistake,
What a
ended
series.
with a triumph. That was an insane series. I am drenched in sweat, as I'm sure the players are too.
I was never worried.
Oh,
At
not
no
at
point.
No. I'll just like dry off my hand from your back.
Yeah, you never doubted them. Ladies and gentlemen, it was an absolute pleasure to cast this BO5 with these two lovely guys, as well as for you at home. We're going to head over to the analyst desk, but stick around for the Verizon post-game interview with Keen in just a few moments, and that'll be a good one.
Awesome. We'll get to hear from Keen indeed. Wow, what a 2 days Maurits has had casting, by the way. Yesterday, all the way to Game 5 for T1 and now for Gen G, but twice his team's come out on top.
I know, right? Not even sweating.
I do want to call up the predictions. We didn't show them before the series because we didn't have time to kind of set it up, but I have two geniuses next to me.
Well, okay.
So, explain.
I can't say that I'm a genius after the Team Liquid prediction and all of NA is mad at me for this morning.
That doesn't matter.
Well, my producer just said true, so I'm not sure if I'm allowed back in the United States. But the reason why I typically, and people consider this a fault sometimes of my analysis, and I will agree with it, is that I typically side with the more stable team. And I do think in looking at both of these teams' strengths, if they're each allowed to play their game, Gen G do edge out ahead just because of how stable they are and how well they play the map.
And at the end of the day, they just decided to poke them. They're just going to pick 4 poke champions, essentially, and then outlane them.
And let's be honest, you didn't like it.
I hated it at first, but then, with the benefit of hindsight,
Which is awesome.
yeah, I did realize that TES had pretty bad engage.
Yeah.
So this is a situation where even if they don't have great peel, they can actually kind of keep them at arm's reach and outpoke them in a lot of fights, because it's really just a Sejuani who's trying to engage, and they're able to avoid a lot of those engages.
Yeah, they can poke them down, and they really have no answer for the Cassante, right? Because even in some of these fights where Jackie Love and Mako are playing well, they still have a Cassante in their face, as we see coming off of one of the fights in question.
Now, I think 14-1? What?
No, he's lost again. Yeah, he lost again.
Oh, he lost again.
Impact, I think, is the only losses, maybe. Oh, no, did we have a loss in this series? Never mind. Anyway, the point is, I think one really interesting thing about this Gen G team, given their play style, given how stable they are, given how they like to play through mid, is the fact that sometimes Canyon, even when it will seem like not a great idea, he'll be like, guys, you know what? Pick me a carry. We saw this in LCK finals with the Kazakhs. We saw it earlier in this tournament with the Kazakhs. And we see it here on the Nidalee, which, by the way, has a 75% win rate career. It was one of the picks that made him so successful the year that Tamwon won the World Championship in 2020. And it's really cool. Even if I don't always agree with it, I like that the Canyon is always willing to just be like, you know what? Pick me a carry. And with this composition, when they did get ahead, the way that they were able to poke from fog, whittle TES down in a lot of these fights was absolutely crucial.
Yes, and they finally did it, Gen G. They took down the LPL. It had been 2,386 days since they did, so I think we need to change that one up.
0 days.
Reset it.
And that was at
5 minutes
since.
5 minutes since they beat them. Also, Jackie Love, rip.
I mean, he played really well.
No, but his streak of beating the LCK is also dead?
Yeah.
Gosh.
There you go.
The records are falling.
This is why this MSI format is going to be so compelling, because neither of these teams are out of the tournament. We have Gen G moving to the winner's bracket final, and we have TES going to be hungry to get revenge.
They will be indeed. I've been actually so happy seeing the last couple of days. I mean, we started off really bad, I think, but we were all scaling into getting a better experience in the back half of the bracket stage. This is our post-game breakdown before we get a look at the bracket.
I know. Once again, Corki does the most damage. What a surprise.
I gotta say, Emily, and we touched on it a little when we were talking about the game, but you know, usually when 369 is in a game, you're always talking about him. There's always highlights, there's always rolling nines, or at the very least a 6. What's happened here?
So yeah, I mean, I think the big thing with 369 is that, as Jat is going to erase, I think both the 6 and the 9.
I mean, no, you're going to tell me this is his name. It's this, or this. And we've been getting a lot of these.
Yeah, I think the big thing for me that's been really shocking in this tournament, because some of it you can chalk up to, okay, he got put behind in the lane swap, right? Like, TES did not play the lane swap as well as Gen G. But it's his mistakes in team fights that have been really crucial, I think, for TES, because in a lot of the series where he's put behind or he's playing weak side, he doesn't get resources, you're like, but you know what? His team fight targeting is still stellar. He still is going to be able to make the plays in the team fights. And we saw in this game and in other games in this series where he just was not as impactful in team fights, or his targeting was a little off, like when he went and chased Lehen's Lulu in game 2. And that's kind of shocking to see from 369, given how he's performed over the past 2 years in particular.
For the side of Gen G, still managing to win after, you know, it wasn't all perfect, right?
No,
otherwise you don't play 5 games.
Yeah, and I'm really, really curious to see if this is what Chovy needs to go to the next level. 2 best-of-5s away from an MSI title now after this win over TES. They're going to play the winner of BLG T1 in the next round. Because I would say, like, we talked a lot about Chovy and how, like, so to me, from the outside, a lot of the Church of Chovy was founded because of the, like, systematic way with which he played the game. Like, oh my god, nobody kills minions like this guy. But more specifically, like, nobody understands how to gain small advantages and stack them up to become a huge advantage. And I think a lot of times internationally, when things are going wrong, the players that are rewarded are the bold. They're the ones that are going to make these high-risk plays that are highly variant, and Chovy's never really, in my opinion, never really excelled at like a high-risk play. He's the god of making the incremental advantage into a massive advantage. And then in a series like this, where he's Corki's ear, and in game 5, the urgency would be like, give me Ari, give me a Kali, let's wait to see the ultimates, give me Silas, like something. No, he's just going to go Corki again. In fact, they're going to first pick, and they won. And not only did they win after he made a huge mistake. They were up 8,000 gold in this game. He checked a bush he didn't need to check. He got killed, and his teammates pulled him through. So I hope that realization and what happened can take the pressure off so he can just be Chovy rather than trying to be something greater to pull the team through, because he can trust his team. His team actually carried him through in this series.
Not everyone. Everyone?
Not everyone.
I don't know. You can pick at home. Who I meant.
I feel like you have.
Pace?
I feel like you have a
Same
few.
pace?
I just think when you look at the whole series, right? Canyon redeemed himself a lot with that Nidalee, but I think there were some issues. I think for the bot lane, maybe not as a whole, but like Pace, there were a couple of issues, right? So to your point, the sum of all parts is greater than the individuals.
There's
and
going
that's
to
a
be
great
variance
thing to have.
along the way, for sure. And it's just the fact that Chovy's not the one that changed to win this series, which I think is just an important thing for him to take going forward.
Cool distinction.
I think previously, and even in this game and in their last series as well, occasionally when Chovy feels pressure, he does get caught out in side lanes, right, when he's responding to get minion waves. I think the big difference maker, and again, I'm going to call out LCK Finals MVP, my boy Keen in the top lane. I do think the pressure that he can provide for this team has been massive in Gen G's success this split. And he could end up very well being the difference maker on this roster that finally helps carry Chovy and Gen G to their next international title, or Chovy's first international title.
Yeah, Chovy's first international title.
Yeah, the last time they won one was
and
when
that
they
was
were
the reason,
Samsung.
or that was one of the reasons you can imagine the changes were made, right? Because they already had LCK on lock. It was all about this as we are preparing for the interview as well. Where does this leave us on TES, who took Gen G to 5 games, who had some great ones in their own right? They will be going up against the winner of PSG versus G2 in the lower bracket. So,
yeah, I think they're still really good. I still actually don't think we have a clear favorite at MSI. I know I thought we were going to when G2 was 2-0 up on TES, but they showed a lot of fight. Jackie Love and Mako, I think.
G2, you mean
Gen G?
I mentioned.
Oh, I see what you really care about. Okay.
So I think in terms of TES, that Jackie Mako are the best performing bot lane in this tournament by a pretty wide margin. And Cream had some big flashes in this series that I think can really help them moving forward.
Yeah, that Tristana play is going to get replayed over and over and over again.
By us, I'm sure as well. And now the interview is ready. It's Keen, Lore, and Ji-Sun standing by for the Verizon post-game interview.
After 5 games, in the end, Gen G grabs the win and advances to the next stage. And I have Keen with me to talk about this one. 축하드립니다. Thank you so much for joining me. Tell me about the development of the series, and especially from Game 4 to Game 5, on the verge of getting reverse swept. How did you guys feel? What was the mindset?
오늘 경기 어떻게 전개된 것 같으신지, 특히 4세트에서 5세트 넘어갈 때 사실은 상대방이 역수입을 일으킬 수도 있는 그런 상황 속에서 어떻게 좀 잘 다잡으시면서 경기 임하셨나요?
사실 5세트 같은 경우는 저희가 플레이오프 이제 LCK에서 플레이오프 진행하면서 많이 경험했었기 때문에 뭐 흔들리거나 그런 건 없었던 것 같고 오히려 좀 더 집중력이 올라갔던 것 같아요.
We were actually very used to 5 gamers because of our experience in the LCK playoffs, so we were not too tilted. We were actually pretty ready to go for it.
All in control here. I want to talk about top lane because when you think about every role at MSI right now, there looks to be a lot of viable options that you can swap, but when it comes to top lane, it's Cassante's Island. It's the most picked champion at MSI so far. How do you explain the dominance of the champion?
사실은 지금 MSI 메타가 정말 어떤 픽이든 모든 라인에 갈 수 있는 듯한 모든 픽들이 수합의 메타가 됐는데 탑만 그냥 크산테 이런 느낌이에요. 그래서 지금 탑 메타에 대해서 어떻게 생각하는지, 탑 챔프풀에 대해서 어떻게 생각하세요?
지금 탑 라인 자체가 약간 좀 수압 때문에 성장하기가 좀 힘들어서 그냥 성장 안 해도 약간 1인분 할 수 있는 탱커 챔피언들이 많이 나오는 것 같습니다.
Because mostly of the lane swap meta, top champions cannot really scale well, or they cannot really get fed. So I think people are now opting in for the safe, kind of a stable tank champions who can just do a decent job even without getting all the resources and stuff.
I see, and I appreciate the fact that you played Ryze against Rumble. I know that you did the same thing at Worlds, and you're one, if not the best Ryze player in the world. Do you think that there's still a spot for Ryze and more AP champions on the top lane?
오늘 또 이제 럼블 상대로 라이즈 픽도 보여주셨는데 사실 작년 월즈에서도 이런 식으로 라이즈를 활용하는 모습이 나왔습니다. 기인 선수 하면 또 라이즈를 가장 잘 다루는 선수 중 한 분으로 항상 거론이 되는데 앞으로도 라이즈가 또 등장할 가능성이 있다고 보시나요?
사실 럼블 상대로 라이즈는 굉장히 오래전부터 써왔기 때문에 이제 각이 나오면 언제든지 또 쓸 수 있을 것 같습니다.
I mean, Rise into Rumble is a bit of a classic counter pick, so as long as I see the angle, I can go for it.
Now, a bit more about you. New Jersey, but you kept one teammate from last year, and I want to talk about your young Lehans. I know that he's nagging you when I watched the Genji video, so talk me through your relationship and the fact that he's poking you all the time.
이제 기인 선수가 또 올해 새롭게 한 번 더 팀을 이적하셨는데 또 함께 같이 이적한 선수분이 있죠. 리엔즈 선수와 이제 동료로 계속 같이 조금 팀을 옮겼는데 리엔즈 선수와의 케미가 워낙 좋고 항상 젠지 영상이나 컨텐츠를 보면 리엔즈 선수가 엄청 기인 선수를 조금 괴롭히는 것 같더라고요. 두 분의 케미스트리에 대해서 좀 알려주세요.
사실 뭐 저는 막 슈영이랑 막 놀고 싶거나 뭐 이런 거는 딱히 뭐 없는데 이제 슈영이 먼저 가만히 있으면 슬슬 건드려가지고 좀 약간 저는 받아치는 그런 느낌인데 이제 팬분들이 좀 좋아해 주시는 것 같습니다.
I have no interest in hanging out with him at all, actually, but when I'm just like being myself and doing nothing, he just comes up to me and start, poking me and stuff. And then like, I guess fans are liking it. I'm more on the person that's just reacting to it.
All right, just taking it as a good teammate here. Let's focus on the next matchup. You're going to face off against the winner of T1 versus BLG. So either Bin or Zeus. What is the main difference stylistically between these two top laners?
이제 BLG T1전 승자와 다음 라운드에서 만나실 예정인데 기인 선수만 놓고 본다면 빈 선수 또는 제우스 선수를 만나게 됩니다. 그 두 탑 레이너를 비교했을 때 스타일적으로 어느 부분이 가장 다르다 생각하세요?
일단 제우스 선수는 좀 팀적으로 이제 약간 공격적인 챔프, 이제 원거리 챔프를 좀 더 선호하기 때문에 일단 제우스 선수가 좀 더 약간 좀 칼끝? 약간 이런 느낌이고 빈 선수도 약간 공격적인 챔프를 좀 많이 하는데 약간 팀적으로는 좀 요새 받쳐주는 챔프를 많이 하는 것 같아서 좀 약간 안정적인 그런 느낌인 것 같습니다.
그럼 약간 방패 같은?
방패라기보단 그냥 상황에 맞게 하는 것 같아요.
So for Zeus, I think especially with T1 as a team, I think they prefer him on more of the carry side. Sometimes you go for the aggressive and long range picks. So I want to say he's like a sharp blade of T1. Bean as well, he's really good at aggressive picks and those kind of very long range champion. But he also right now this day is playing a lot of supportive role right now. So I think those are the major difference.
All right, well, let's see who you end up facing off against in the next round. Thank you so much for the interview. 감사합니다.
감사합니다.
And Jason, thank you for the translation.
Awesome. Tomorrow will be a very cool top lane matchup. I am, of course, talking about Broken Blade versus Aicha in the top lane of PG versus G2. No, also that. Let's take a look at tomorrow's schedule. With that, as G2 will be kicking off the day versus PSG, and then after that we get BLG versus T1, which should be so incredibly epic. I can hardly wait.
Yeah. Pay attention to the clock up top, because the majority of MSI has been starting 5 hours later than it's going to be starting tomorrow.
Yes.
Same time as starting today, same time the Fnatic
The
TL
Europeans
series is
should
on.
have fixed their schedule and been up. I mean, it is a weekend, though. They might want to have a beer tonight.
I mean, there have been accusations about it being a one-team region.
Yes.
So the G2 fans may not have watched today.
Maybe.
But their team plays tomorrow. You
Europe
never know.
is a one-team region. So is NA, but it's always a different team. So is that better or worse?
I mean, sometimes it's no team. Luckily, there's one this year.
I'll take the one.
I will say, since I won't be here tomorrow, BLG T1 should be a banger. I think both teams showcased a few flaws in their 5-game series to get to that
We're just
matchup.
up against formidable competition. I don't know what you're on about.
And they're both teams that really love to smash your face in, right? So watching them go up against each other is going to be so fun.
Okay, can't wait. 6 a.m. Central European, 12 a.m. Eastern US for that bout, which is the last part of the first part of the bracket stage, because after that we take a day off and then we're back for another 6 days. But that will mean we will still say goodbye to one other team tomorrow. So we'll see you then. Goodbye, sleep well, or continue your day well.
Takeover not needed, a shutdown for Humanoid. What is happening? Yes, it is! This is what peak League of Legends looks like, baby! And ulti to block any APA follow-up. I won't be able to interrupt the flick back. And Razor's just getting taken down clean and patient. Here comes Razzle! He's trying to get a bit more space. Heal! Sundered Sky, baby! Fish out the flesh. Blue goes out. Alright, look at the shot. Look at me. I'm looking at me. Alright, take the right now. I'm out. flashing back out, but now we arrive for the dragon fight. He's zoning away the jungler, gets the reset on the jump. Calling Noah's ulti doesn't connect. John is just better. Dashing in, but the interrupt is there, and they get him. Team Liquid and the team fight are so damn clean. APA is Goomba stopping. He is all chatting. He is winning it for North America. Tiny new targets again. Finds on and Chucky Love. The money bags are there. We go from 0 to hero for Genji, but Cream's to a live voice. Bringing the fight in, but someone needs to deal with pace. Someone needs to deal with pace. Someone needs to deal with pace. Cream chases. How deep are we going? Cream, what are you doing? He's debuted to the international stage, and he's chasing a fairy. Oh, Canyon into Chovy, baby, yeah. He ults away Chovy, the creme de la creme of the arena legends. Oh, God! He finally arrived. If there is a church of Chovy, then we better believe in the cult of Cream. He can't get the reset, though. It's messy. It's disgusting. But Genji are thriving in it. And let me tell you, Genji fans, I am a believer.